You're live. Says we're live.
Says we're live.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody. All right. So we're back. Hopefully this works. If we get errors on this live stream, that's going to be a big bummer. So we should see some folks piling in here real soon. All right. So welcome back,
Everybody.
let us know if you get an error.
I don't know how you type on this little flat keyboard.
It's kind of weird to do it like this. I can tell you that much. A little strange. All right. All right, guys. So yeah, take two. Sorry about that. Welcome back. The live stream tonight, for those that are just jumping in here, finally success. Okay, perfect. This is looking good without issues this time. Okay. So this should go a lot smoother. We'll wait just a few minutes before we really get rolling, but this is going to be a live stream, and the purpose and the benefit of the live stream is to help out Chris from the Vinyl Attack. I don't want to hijack anything, but I have to thank Scott for his incredibly generous donation. Hey, Scott, thank you. Whatever you donated, thank you. Really, really cool.
Yep.
Still buffering. Let me pull up YouTube on my phone and see how this is looking.
What? These guys want to talk about audio stuff.
John, let me know. John, let me know if it's working fine for you now, buddy. Just keep me posted and let me know.
I had to get a new battery for my audio system today, finally. The other one was
12 volt.
It was 12 years old, I think. And for you guys wondering, how long does Danny's batteries last in his audio system?
12 years.
About 12 years.
12 years is about it.
Yeah, that was it. It
What
hold the charge.
What did the guy say? He said you had about an hour on it, or an hour and a half.
That 100 amp hour battery was about a 1.5 hour.
1.5
battery. Yeah, it wasn't much left. So.
Oh my goodness.
It is what it is. They said, look at how old this one is. Look at the label on it.
Had issues with the chat too. Some errors here. People are having problems. Oh man.
Are they not hearing us, or is it just buffering? And
no, what it sounds like is people are having a hard time connecting to the live stream. It's airing out, or they're having some problems. But we're starting to climb in numbers, so I'm hoping this. I was able to pull it up on my phone right away, so I'm hoping that you guys can get in here and start helping out. But anyways,
time to run with it.
We're going to run with it this time. We're going to do the best that we can, and I hope that as this video exists on YouTube, that for the folks that couldn't join us, you'll watch the video again, and you'll get the idea that essentially what we're trying to do is help out Chris with rebuilding the studio. Chris is from Southeast Michigan. I think Southeast Michigan.
Yeah, I think so.
Showers came down. He was out getting a bite to eat.
They got a flood.
Yep. And instead of rushing home, which to be honest with you is probably what I would have done, he actually stopped to help people. And he helped people like all night. He has a truck. And so he was getting people out of harm's way. And he didn't get home until like 5 o'clock in the morning. And he was greeted with his basement being flooded out. And so the second that I heard this situation, the story, Danny as well, Danny was like, dude, we got to do something for this guy. And Danny's never done a live stream. And this was Danny's idea. He's like, hey, let's do a live stream. And so all of the proceeds, all of the money for this live stream, any dollars that we collect through the use of super chats, they're going to Chris. So please be generous, if you can. And we do. Chris definitely needs it, and we do appreciate it. So we're going to treat this like a live stream. I can see that we're starting to climb in numbers, and the questions are coming in. So I'm going to go ahead and try to moderate this, and we'll just dive in and see if we can help you guys out. So the first question out of the gate is from Brent, who is one of the regulars here on the channel. Brent is asking, Danny, I want a pair of your servo subs, but I am not a do-it-yourself guy, and I don't like the wood H frame. I would prefer aluminum and glass. Who can build this for me?
Oh boy. Well, glass is probably out. I mean, that's going to be difficult to work with. Aluminum is a possibility, but aluminum gets really, really expensive and it gets really heavy. I really don't know who I would send you to. Using the MDF is just inexpensive. It works. It's non-resonant, and we do 1.5 inch thick side panels on those things. So we got 2 layers of 3/4 inch MDF, and you line it with some no res, and it's good to go. I mean, it's quiet and clean. So I don't see a necessity going to a material like aluminum unless it's just a cosmetic thing. And if that's the case, if you just really want to do it for cosmetics, skin it. Put an aluminum skin on it. That's going to be a lot less expensive than solid aluminum. Man, that gets pricey, and it's really heavy.
All right, there you go, Brent. So stick with the MDF. I will tell you, when I built mine, I was nervous about it, and those things, they fit together like a puzzle. It was surprising. It was a lot easier than what I thought. And in terms of finishing, you could hire somebody to finish out the sub for you. You could even have it professionally painted, automotive painted. So, keep that in the back of your mind. I mean, if you want to go that route as well. All right, so we got another question in for Danny, and it says, will it be obvious if you build one of your crossovers incorrectly?
Yeah, it's usually pretty obvious. Of course, first thing I do is throw it up on the in front of the microphone, the Clio, and shoot a response. And
yeah,
if something is not correct, it shows up immediately. So
yeah, if they don't have Clio,
even if you don't have Clio, if you're listening to it and it doesn't sound smooth and balanced, then something's not right.
Okay. So it's just a matter of listening to it and
yeah. I can tell within a few seconds. But
yeah,
and most people, I think, play some familiar music. You'll tell. The biggest and most common problem is a driver polarity flip. Some of our designs have and feature a tweeter flip in the polarity so that they're actually acoustically in phase. And sometimes people get those reversed, or they don't get them flipped like they're supposed to, and then there's a huge hole in the response.
Yeah.
So then that's pretty obvious.
Perfect. There we go.
So we got a little super chat there.
We got a super chat down below. I'll get to that in a minute there. Scott, thank you so much. Thanks, super Scott. Kind, totally awesome. Chris really appreciates it. There's no doubt about that. All right, so let's take a look here. All right, and Danny's going to see my frustration of what happens is this thing always wants to go, just keep jerking down on the screen, and I'm like, stop it. I haven't even gotten to the next question. So it can be a big pain, so just hang in there with us.
Yeah, I don't know how you can read it. Text is real small.
It is pretty small.
You should have went in and set your monitor settings to low resolution or something. Try to make the fonts real
640
big.
by 480.
Yeah,
kind of like the ones in your office.
Yeah.
All the guys that watch your videos, they make fun of you. They're like, you got a screen this big.
They make fun of the Clio system over there because we're measuring over there. That's still a Windows XP machine. It's like, why update it? It's not hooked to the internet.
Oh my goodness.
I don't need any speed running the Clio. It's like needs a little more power than a calculator, and it works fine. It's not broke. I'm not going to fix it.
All right, let's take a look here. All right. Okay, here's a question for me. Where is the LOTS video for subwoofers? So for those that aren't familiar, LOTS is loudspeaker optimization techniques for soundstage. This is the video that I put a lot of hard work into creating that will help you get the most out of soundstage. And the one for bass. So what do you do with subs? That's a great question. That is still on the docket. That's not going away. That is something that I definitely want to do, but like LOTS, it takes a lot of thought and preparation to get that video right. It's not something I can just do over the weekend. I want to make sure that it stands the test of time, just like LOTS has. So hang in there. It'll be out as soon as I can. And so yeah, that'll be a fun one to knock out for sure. All right, let's just take a look here. Is that Texas moonshine Danny is drinking?
No, it's just water out of a mason jar.
That's a lot less exciting than Texas moonshine.
I don't even drink.
Oh my goodness. All right, so we're down to the super chat from Scott. Scott, thank you so much for the super chat. For those that are just now hopping in here, any of the super chats, 100% of the proceeds going to Chris
Oh,
for the
Chris.
vinyl attack. Really appreciate that. Hey, yeah, have you guys heard any of the CSS audio stuff? Any thoughts? Scott, that's a great question. I know that Randy kind of lit a fire with the CSS audio stuff, and he likes that Crichton 1TD. Shortly after I heard that speaker, I reached out to CSS Audio, and Kerry's great. I've worked with him in the past, and he's like, yeah, we'll get it out to you right away. And so that will be making its way over here. Have you heard anything recent from CSS Audio? Like any of their newer stuff?
I haven't heard the newer stuff. Years ago, Bob Reimer used to Creative Sound Solutions there, and I used to do work with Bob. I did some design work for him and stuff like that. But of course, he sold it to the new owners, and they've actually taken it in a good direction. I think they've got some nice kids.
Yeah, cool.
Yep.
Cool. And actually, just a quick shout out for those that are into do-it-yourself. One of the things that is really cool about CSS Audio is the actual the board, the crossover board, is 3D printed, so you really can't mess it up. I mean, it tells you where every single component goes and how it lays, and that's really cool. So I like that. I thought that was a very innovative way, to do that for a lot of folks that are, just getting into, do it yourself, and they're a little bit nervous about it. Non-controversial topic. When will we see the result of the cable tests you guys did recently? All right. Well, that's the end of the live stream. We'll see you guys later.
We're gonna do some video on that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's coming up. For the biggest problem is, for me, I've had no time.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been so covered up. Between COVID and what's happened with YouTube, kind of has blown us up to a whole new audience, and time is really a factor right now. I mean, I'm putting in some long hours. The emails are, and 150 emails a day, and had to bring in some help answering the emails. You guys are probably seeing them answer from different people, and just haven't had time. Ron and I did a little bit of a run through on it right when the whole subject came up.
Yeah.
And had some fun with it. And at first, we tried it with me just blindfolded, and at first it was just real easy. Like
AC/DC.
He threw on AC/DC. He's trying to trick me. And,
you
give me
picked it out,
and I picked out which cable it was.
Easy.
just like that.
Yeah.
And he said, "We didn't even hear both of them."
Yeah.
Well, I know what the song sounds like, and it's missing stuff. And then so I knew it was this straight cable, just a zip cord. And then the longer I sit there blindfolded, and then we put in some Jack Johnson, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, this is a great song." And I thought, within just a minute, I was dizzy. I was like, "Okay, wait, quit! I can't even concentrate here." Just being completely blindfolded and just
like engrossed in the music, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah, it didn't work. So the blindfold deal was, we just. And then there was kids running around, and we couldn't do anymore.
It was too
It was too noisy. So we said, all right, next time we
just got to build like a blind.
We're
or
just
something.
We're just gonna hide the cable,
or that. Yeah.
So I can't see the cables, and we'll do it again. But preliminary test run throughs and stuff that I've done, it's pretty easy. So I would expect it should be pretty conclusive, and you guys will see whenever we get a chance to film it.
Yeah. Good question. Next question, Danny. Have you heard Ron's Holo Audio Maydac?
Wow. As a matter of fact, that DAC.
Is that thing burned in yet?
No. It was recently brought to my house and hooked it up, and it's over there burning in. And what was it? Last night I called you?
Yeah.
I said, Ron, how many hours are on this thing?
40 to 60, maybe.
Like, okay. Never mind. Like, all right.
I was like, hey, thanks for burning in my DAC.
Yeah. He's like, what's wrong? And I said, well,
put some hours on that
the
thing.
vocals are really forward, and they're a little edgy and just a little in your face. And I thought, this thing sounds like it doesn't have any hours on it.
Yeah.
So sure enough.
CN 200 hours.
It didn't have more. Yeah. So
Yeah.
It's burning in right now. So there were some good things about that DAC immediately. There was some openness and airiness. It's just that forwardness in the vocal was just that was too much. Yeah. Very glary there.
So he will report back down the road.
Report back. We'll put some time on it. It sounded more digital than analog in that vocal region. So
Danny, they're saying you're pretty hard to hear. So
I'm hard to hear. Okay, well, we'll get me a little closer.
We're doing kind of a weird thing with the mic. We're doing the best we can, but we'll see if that's, hopefully that'll be a little bit better. I just cranked the mic up a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so
the thing set up when I came in here. It was just like right across the front of me. And I'm like, what are you doing, man? Trying my face. He goes,
I had
it's fine. And
I had the boom arm like right in front of his face.
So we looked at the monitor like, oh, okay. So this is something new he's trying out here.
Oh my goodness.
What else we got there for
All
questions?
right, let's take a look here. I'm debating getting either a moderate vinyl setup, Project X2, or going with a server rig, something like Inuos.
That's for you.
You know, I don't even know where to begin with that, because that's very broadband. You know, it's like, okay, it sounds like you're at the crossroads of, do I go in the direction of vinyl and analog, or do I go in the direction of digital?
Do both.
Do both. That's exactly what I was going to say, because both are incredible in so many different ways.
Because I haven't had a vinyl system set up in a while.
Yeah, which we
and
need
it's
to
the
fix
vinyl. You just sit down, turn the lights out, and you just let that album play all the way through. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Digital is just too convenient.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. All right, let's take a look here. You know, it just freaked out on me. Give me a second here, guys.
Yeah. Bunch of them pouring at once, and it moves the screen on him while he's trying to scroll.
All right, so another question for Danny. Says, Danny, I pestered Ron about reviewing your Carnegie pedestals. Do you have any that you could get to him, or are they all warehoused out of state?
They are all warehoused in Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Yeah. When they shipped a bunch of the CST1s and the CSBs, a lot of those were all sent to me. And for me to just liquidate the product line, because they were set up to sell through stores. And as you guys know, the stores are hard to find and few between anymore. So they didn't want to do internet direct, and they asked me to they're just going to discount them and I'll blow them out for them. And my website generates a lot of traffic, so we put them on my site. I went through all the ones I had in stock, and then now they're just drop shipping them from Kentucky. They're at Carnegie as they're ordered. So I don't have any here. But nice speakers though. They're really good speakers.
Do you have, what would they be compared to?
Kind of like my AV series models. I based it off of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's take a look here. Vinyl Attack says, I appreciate this more than I can say. I'm just staying quiet to let the questions roll. I'm learning too. So
glad to do it, Chris.
Yeah, glad to do it. We'll pause right now. If you're just now joining us and you have no idea what's going on, Chris from the Vinyl Attack, all of the super chats, any donations are going to Chris to help him rebuild his studio. He's in Southeast Michigan. They had showers. His studio was flooded. And so we're just trying to help the guy out. So any of the donations, 100% of the proceeds are going straight to Chris. All right. We got another one, and this is a super chat from Chris. Chris, thank you so much for the super chat. We appreciate it. It says, Danny, thanks for looking at my mini 3D crossover mounting board. Any idea when the mini flat packs are shipping?
Mini flat packs have been shipping. I've been getting email notifications from Killian. He sent me a whole list of them today and shipping tracking numbers on a whole group of them that went out today.
Okay.
And we're shipping the flat pack, or we're shipping the kit from here at GR.
And then
Killian,
he's
in Denton with the CNC machine, and he's drop shipping them from Denton on our UPS account. So we figured out a way to make it work and make it pretty easy, so he doesn't have to fool with it. I get the shipping expense, which you guys have to cover, and it makes it easy. So yeah, they're all going out, and bunches and bunches of them are going. He probably shipped out 20 of them today or something. So yep, they're moving. And I still got a pair burning in. That little blue pair is really getting good. They
sound great.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Man. Those things sound really good.
Really good.
Man,
yeah,
crazy.
I totally agree. Yep. We got a super chat in from Eric with no question. So Eric, $50, man. That is huge.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That is super generous, super cool of you to do that. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Jeff Glickman, my friend Jeff, longtime subscriber, usually... Let's see what he has to say. I'm already laughing because I just know it's going to be something funny. Can Danny please put on a shirt that makes the Moire pattern in the Moire pattern in the camera sensor, so it goes completely batshit haywire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did that one day on one of the videos. It was just a shirt I wore to church and that little stripe pattern in it.
Oh,
the camera
man.
did not like it. It was like,
no,
whoa, it was psychedelic.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people felt high as they were sitting there listening to talk about.
Yeah, they couldn't listen to what I was saying. They're like,
what?
Look what is going on with his shirt. Yeah, that was crazy. Now this one I got from my nieces. They know that I'm difficult. Yeah,
Nice.
They got that when they went skiing, and
Yeah.
Of course they know I'm a skier too. We all go. A lot of times we all go ski together, and I don't mind skiing these if they're like straight down and smooth.
Yeah,
I'm not a mogul guy. In case you guys are wondering, that's work. I can do that. I don't want to do that. That's work. I like to go fast.
That's funny.
Yep. So.
All right, question coming in for me. Did I buy the Newman head microphone? That's a great question. Nicknamed Randy Newman. No, the unit that was sent out to me was a loaner unit, and we obviously set up the GoFundMe. The GoFundMe is still active, and I think we're about $2,500 away from hitting our goal. So I feel positive that we'll hit it, and I'm going to leave it open and active until we hit it, because that's a powerful tool, and I can't wait to get it back in my hands to where I can start doing the sound clips with commentary using that. So thank you for asking. I appreciate it.
Yep. He showed it to me. We tried it out at my house.
I tripped you out the first time when you put that on, and then you're just like, "What the heck?" You're like,
he was walking around talking in Randy's ears.
You're right behind you.
Like, you're not even in this room. It was really crazy.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
Dan and Ron, please do a video on a 4 sub array video with 2 open baffle and 2 closed.
We've done that often at shows. Several times when we've gone to shows, we'll set up the open baffle servo subs up front, and then we'll drop a pair of sealed servo subs in the rear corners of the room, run out of phase from the ones up front. And what that does is it pretty well nullifies the corner boominess in the back of the room.
Okay.
You know, the whole back wall just kind of disappears, and there's no big bass reflection or no heaviness back there, which is great. When a lot of times when you go to a show, you walk into someone's room, and the first thing you do is you kind of stand at the back of the room, and you're looking the gear over, and you're thinking, do I want to sit down and listen? And all you can feel is bass boominess where you are when you think, no thanks, man.
Yeah, I'm out of here.
So we do a little trick there. We run those in the back, and you can stand right in front of them with them just pounding, and you'd never know that they're on because they're kind of creating a null right there in that area. And we usually set them at about 25 hertz and down. We usually do them really low. And then as you move out into the room and sit down, there's a lot of added output from those things in the back of the room that you don't notice until you move out in the middle of the room. And they work.
That's cool.
They really work.
I like that idea. That's a cool trick. Yep. Let's take a look here. Also, and we got some more super chats coming in, guys. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Really cool of you to do that. Also, I'd love to see Ron and Danny review and test the Key 3 active monitors. You can out those suckers right up against the wall with no ill effect. Brent, you're talking crazy right now. You're talking crazy. No, the Key 3. So that I think that was designed by, did Bruno do the work on the Key 3? If you guys know, leave your comments down below. Mm-hmm. I know it's an interesting design, and all those drivers, it's interesting. I mean, I would love to hear it and see what the heck it's doing. Speakers up against the wall makes my skin crawl. So, the verdict is out. Yeah. I don't understand where Class AB fits in with the rest of the classes, Class A, Class A, B, D, so on and so forth. Class AB. So I think what it is that it's Class A for a certain amount of...
Yeah. For a certain amount of output, a lot of amps will stay in pure Class A.
And then it switches into Class AB.
Yeah. Like my big tube amps that I have, maybe you guys have seen them in the magazines or something, great big tube amps. Yeah, they do 110 watts still in Class A. And then,
wow.
And then 280 total. So
wow.
You can see if the meters move, then it's usually really loud. If they move it all out of Class A into Class AB. But
you're cranking it.
Yeah. So a lot of those amps will do that. Some amps are pure Class A. They don't have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is. If anybody else smarter than us wants to let us know more information, you can do that down below. But I think that's it, is that it's Class A for a certain amount of output, and then it changes into Class AB. Ron, any chance of you building a set of ecstatics, or Danny, would you care to describe the sound of them? They are on my short list. This is probably, I'm glad you're here, by the way, because this is like the #1 requested speaker.
They're one of my favorites.
Yeah.
You know, of all the little X series speakers, that's the king of that product line right now. And they're tough to beat when you factor in the cost of them. I mean, they're really good. And I'm building out a set for my little personal home theater with an ex voce. Killian, who's cutting our flat packs, is going to build me out a pair, and he's keeping an eye out for some nice, maybe a solid hardwood walnut or something that's a dark color that I'm kind of looking for. And we're going to skin them in that on the front baffle, or make the front baffle out of some hardwood, which we can kind of get away with on that speaker because it's basically a frame.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing left there except the lower section. There's a little bit there, but it's also 1.5 inches thick. So we can get away with it on that speaker when you wouldn't want to use hardwood on other speakers. But yeah, I'm getting a pair built. And then when you guys show up at GR Research and say, I want to hear ecstatics, hold on. Let me go get you a pair.
Yeah.
Get you a pair out of my
I'd love to hear them,
theater
man.
room.
I would love to hear them. Yeah, I mean, those have been requested forever, so I'd love to hear those things.
Yep.
I would love to build a couple of GR Research PA speakers. Can you make any
PA
recommendations?
speakers,
I'm
wow.
planning to mostly use them for small, medium gigs. If it makes a difference, I play piano and keyboards.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
We've got some projects coming up that I'm going to be doing with Radian. And I'm going to be using some of their new coaxial drivers and putting those in some box designs that are going to be
high sensitivity.
Yeah, high sensitivity, but kind of like your traditional box speaker, you know, like from the old days, the old Pioneer 100s or something. A lot of those models where you got the big woofer in the bottom of them. But in this case, a big coaxial driver and maybe one of our servo subs right below it. So
interesting.
That's common. You could use that as a PA speaker if it was a small venue kind of a deal. Yep.
That's cool.
That stuff's coming. Kind of
really
old school speakers.
Yeah. All right. LR asks, I have 2 Rhythmic F12G sealed GR subs with the A370 PEQ. Would it be possible to convert these to your triple open baffle setup by getting additional subs and building the new box?
No, actually, the amplifier is slightly different. Brian adds what he calls a shelving circuit to the amplifiers that are driving the open baffle woofers. It has to do with maintaining that linear response all the way out to the rock bottom. So it's a little circuit board that's added to that amp, which yours does not have. And I wouldn't recommend you disassembling a perfectly good subwoofer to just salvage the amplifier out of it, because the woofer is completely different. And you'd be better off keeping it and building you a set of the open baffles from scratch.
There you go. We got a super chat from Patriots7111. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Question is for Danny. Danny, is there a way to know a driver's FS based off of a speaker measurement? For example, the Sapphire's tweeter based off of Ron's measurements.
No, Ron's measurements are more frequency response measurement. You'd have to take the driver out so there's no crossover on it all and do an impedance sweep, and then you can see the FS on it pretty clearly.
There you go. Sean says, Danny, speak up. Ron, quit yelling.
Wow. Okay. Maybe we need to move this over here closer to me.
There you go.
Maybe that's the trick. I don't know.
There you go.
How's that, guys?
And I'm so used to doing these that I project my voice, so I'll relax a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm pretty soft spoken, so maybe the mic movement helped a little bit.
Let's take a look here.
And thank you.
Yes, thank you. Patriot says digital and vinyl are so different that I can't even compare them. Okay, nope, that wasn't a question for us. Let me move on. Okay, here's one. Does Danny have a transmission speaker, or what is your thoughts on them?
Not currently, but I have had kits that are transmission line designs. I first developed what we call the AV3 that used our dual 16 ohm M130 woofers, and I designed a transmission line for that one that worked out really well, and it would increase the bottom end down to 3 dB down to 40, which was pretty low for those little 5¼ inch woofers. And then loved it so much that I redesigned that model in what was then our N series, which used the Neo tweeter. I put the Neo tweeter in it, same configuration. And yeah, and probably bring it back with that T26 tweeter and move it kind of into the X series models. But yeah, the trick to transmission line is it's a way to tune a speaker to a lower frequency range than you would normally get out of it from just a ported box. You can increase that output, and if you tune it just right, you can increase it in such a way that it gives a longer extension and a nice balanced response. But they're tricky to build. You have to know what you're doing, and I think I went through 3 different boxes before I got the tuning just right. So not easy.
All right, let's take a look here. Oh, it just freaked out on me. Give me a second.
Wow, they're coming in now.
They're coming in now. Guys, thank you so much. If you're just now joining us, we got 134 people in here. So thank you for hopping in here. Wow. We had some issues with the live stream earlier, but the mission of this live stream is to raise funds through Super Chats, Super Stickers, GoFundMe, which is in the description, for Chris at the Vinyl Attack. His basement was flooded. His studio was flooded. And we just want to be generous and to help him out. So please join us in being generous and helping him out. All the proceeds, they're going straight to him. All right, let's take a look here.
We got some catching up to do on these questions, I bet you. Or some of maybe people chatting back and forth to each other.
They are, yeah. Yep. Eric Burnson. So this is a friend who is a good friend of mine from Arizona. He just lives right down the street. I miss you. Come back. Sad face, cry. And he did do it as a super chat, which is nice. So thank you. You just helped out Chris, which is really cool. I'm not coming home. I'm sorry. You can come and visit us, and I'll cook you up some ribs. I'll smoke you up some ribs.
He's learned to smoke meats.
Yeah.
He has a smoker.
Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm figuring it out.
Yep.
All right. Danny, could you tell about how you change out crossover components during a design session with a speaker? So
you want to watch me do the work.
Huh? I wonder if they're asking, I'm trying to think that through. Could you tell about how you change out crossover components during design session with the speaker? So you have a design you're working on.
Yep.
How do you move from one? What's the thought process?
You look at what it's asking for. In other words, you look at that frequency measurement. Let's say we're looking at a woofer and we're looking at the roll off on it. And I will look at it and think, okay, it needs a 12 microfarad cap there. And I'll grab it and put it on it and measure it. That's just simple as that. The trick is knowing what value it needs just by looking at it. Putting it on it and measuring again is really easy. To me, I always thought if everybody else had the same tools I did, they would eventually get there if they just spent enough time putting parts on and measuring.
Yeah. It's experience, right?
Experience. Yeah. The experience is just know what parts to put. I'll usually start with on the woofer's response. I'll look at it and look and see how much baffle step loss there is and decide what value the inductor needs to be to start with. And I'll put that inductor on there and look at it. And I may or may not change it. And then I may go to adding a capacitor to it. And it's just a matter of putting the right parts in the right places. And those who come and watch me do it are sometimes amazed that I do it as quickly as I do. But it's just because that's what I do all the time. It's not rocket science, but it's just experience, and that's all it is. So
there you go. Just got a notification from Scott, and he is letting us know that we are only $229 away from the goal on GoFundMe. So for the GoFundMe goal for Chris for the Vinyl Attack, $229, and we're there. So
well, you guys go over there and bump it up a little bit, and he'll reach the goal there.
Every dollar counts, man. So that's awesome. We have Chris in here, and he's doing a super chat for $25. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris.
Chris is saying, no question, new to the audiophile world and learning so much from this community and YouTubers. Vinyl Attack rocks, and we agree with that. Chris is an
agree.
inspiration to me. There's no doubt about that. The second that guy got up and running, I knew, I was like, this is a guy that I'm going to watch and I'm going to learn from.
I couldn't believe how well he did on camera.
It's incredible.
Because
it's legit.
It's not easy to just get in front of the camera and start talking, and he rolls with material all the way through. It's really good. Yeah,
absolutely. Michael Walker also chipped in, and this is just a comment saying, wishing you all the best. Hang in there, brother. So super cool, super kind of you to do that. We do appreciate that. Let's take a look here. We have a question from Time Rival, and he says, hi, Danny. I'm interested in the NX Studios for using in my mastering room, but there's not much info on the website for these. Can you share some specs?
Yeah. I've kind of purposely been holding off on getting that info up there because, as you guys know, it's hard to get things made right now. Really hard to get things made. And it's caused a lot of the factories to slow down. And so it's taken a lot longer to get my drivers in. And they sent me some on a kind of a rush. I got 100 of those drivers in, the woofers in, and I've got 1,000 more that are being made that are about to ship as well. They're right behind it. They're done. And I'm also out of 8 microfarad sonic caps too, because they're going through the same problems trying to get film in, trying to get the caps made. It's tough to get things made right now. And so I don't have everything on hand ready to ship that stuff out. So I didn't feel like going and putting all that information on there, which would just cause 20 other people to order it. And then I'd have 20 other people waiting for us to get the parts in necessary to ship it out complete. So that's why there isn't that much information. Now, to give you the information, that speaker is really unique. There's no other speaker that I know of that anybody's tried what I'm doing. And the goal was to create an imaging and sound stage and an openness that you ordinarily don't get from a box speaker.
Yeah.
But it had to be a speaker you could place near or close to a front wall. So the way I did that is the tweeter it's in free air. So it's an open baffle tweeter. And as you know, when you listen to the Neo 3 tweeter in an open baffle, it's really special. That thing is just real sounding.
Yeah.
But it couldn't just be sticking up on the baffle right there. It would just reflect right off the wall, and it would cause the same problem you get from any open baffle speaker that you put too close to the wall. You want a time delay between the speaker's output on the back and that wall reflection. You want about a 6 millisecond delay. Otherwise, it just sounds like a smear. So what we did is it's inside the box, but the top is open, and there's a little ramp on the back of it there, going from the bottom of the tweeter to the top of the box.
Yeah.
And there's no res all across it, and there's no res inside. And so what that's doing is it's absorbing that output from just reflecting straight off the wall. So it's there in free air, and you hear a lot of that spaciousness, but you hear it more up off the ceiling and around the room and not reflecting right back at you. So it did indeed, and it really exceeded what I felt like I was trying to do, in that it really improves the imaging and soundstage, even in a situation where it's up close to the wall. And then the NQ driver is one of the best sounding woofers I've ever worked with. That is a sweet sounding woofer in a little sealed box. So
it's a sealed box. Yeah.
So you can stick it up right up there on, in your mixing and mastering areas, and it will give you what you can't get out of any other speaker. And it's accurate, and the parts quality is super high. You're going to hear detail levels and things that a lot of speakers are just going to smear. So it's ideal for mastering, mixing in small rooms. That's pretty much what it was for.
There you go.
And it's an 8-ohm speaker. You can drive it with anything.
Yeah.
It's easy to drive.
Yeah. I mean, my goodness, you've had even those little chip amps on those. I mean, no problem. Like we're talking
10-watt chip amp.
Yeah, no problem.
Especially if you're sitting right in front of them. You don't need a lot of power.
Right. And we don't even talk about that a whole lot. Like, well, you have to take into consideration the environment, how close you are to the speaker. That's going to be a big determining factor of how loud you need to get that.
How loud you need to be. Yeah. If you're sitting right in front of them, a 300B tube amp is
just fine.
Plenty. Yeah. Not a problem.
Yep. All right. Let's take a look here. Oh, correct regarding Class A and Class AB. All right, cool. We got it right. Hey, Ron, can you demo your technique for getting powered subs to match well with a pair of small bookshelf speakers? Hey, Danny, love your channel too.
Thanks.
Yeah, when I actually, this will be something that I discuss when I do the lots video for bass, because people are going to be using subs, and I'm going to show you how I go about the integration of a sub and your mains or bookshelf speakers. So that video is on the way, and it will be great. So just give me a little bit of time, and I'll make sure that
it's a good way to go too. When you've got complete control of the lower range of your speaker,
yeah,
with a different amplifier and different phase and things like that, and you can move it around in your room independent of your speaker.
that's the key.
Man, that's a huge advantage. You can
That's the key
you
right
can
there.
get balanced sound, whereas one great big full range speaker, you just got what you got. It's just a compromise. You set it up best for imaging or sound stage,
and you're done.
and if your bass is boomy, start bringing in room treatments.
Yeah.
You know, you just have to start absorbing it. You don't have any control over it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you guys know this. I get this. I'm asked this question all the time. And for me, it's like,
I get a lot.
I will always take bookies and subs over a tower for that reason. Like if you're saying, hey, Ron, you know, like what's the best way to go? Because it's been my experience that a lot of times where the tower sounds best is not necessarily where bass is going to sound best in the room. And so if you can move that sub around and explore some space on the, you know, on the listening room,
Big time.
It's insane. I mean, it's fantastic. So for sure. Yeah. Let's take a look here. I'm building a pair of oh, Hobbs is in here.
Oh, hey Hobbs.
I'm reading Hobbs super chat.
No
oh my goodness sakes.
Hobbs has moved from Florida to Texas to work for me here at GR Research. He's been a huge help.
Yeah.
He's caught on really quick, and
great guy.
Yeah, I need another one. I need another Hobbs. So
if there's another Hobbs out there,
one of you guys out there that would like to move to Texas,
you're already hired. Just come on down.
I need another one.
Just come on down.
Yeah.
Start doing emails. You're gonna love it.
Yeah.
Somebody's asking you, Danny, have you ever done anything with electrostats such as Martin Logan's?
I did. I actually had some Martin Logan's in about 3 or 4 months ago for an upgrade. I went through and redid the whole passive filter and smoothed the response out on it a little bit and used better quality parts. It still works the same. You just have a transformer in there you have to deal with, but it still is loaded with passive parts. And so, yeah, it can be streamlined.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool. Let's take a look here. Dan is asking you, Danny, are you doing any work on the Elac UB5 speakers?
No, I haven't. I've had one pair of those, I think, sent in. It was a UB5. What was that model? Anyway, it was a little small one with the coaxial up top and the little woofer below. And Andrew did a great job on the design on it, measured pretty well. But there's no room left in that box for any real parts.
Oh, it's going to be the Unified 2.0 bookie. That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
I remember Andrew said they actually had to build the enclosure around the crossover because
there's no room. The crossovers, of course. I mean, it's built to those price points. There's little inexpensive, tiny little parts on there, and they're on a little card there, and that's about all there is inside for room. So. Yeah, there was no space in there. I told the customers, just if you want to go up the ladder, just start over. These are a great speaker for where they are, but if you want to move up,
there you go.
It's not worth it. It's too hard to work on it. Yep.
Got another super chat coming in from JC. Before I jump into this, just a quick pause. For those that are just joining us, tonight's live stream, all the proceeds are going to Chris for the vinyl attack. We're helping raise funds. He lives in Southeast Michigan. I can't say that. And they had some floods, and he was out getting a bite to eat. And instead of going home, he stayed and helped people. And when he got home, his basement was flooded, along with his YouTube studio. A lot of damages, a lot of things need to be repaired.
Yep.
And so all of the proceeds for tonight is going to Chris. Chris, get back to work, man. We want you back online. So, so that's what this is for. Thank you for the generosity. We appreciate it. So, JC is asking, and this is a great question. Danny, any opinions on quality active crossovers versus high-end crossovers that you sell?
Yeah, the trick is quality active crossovers. If you have the know-how to build one from scratch and use all high quality parts and build a power supply for that thing that's low noise, I mean, technically there could be some advantage there. With the passive parts, when you get up to a really high level of using really good quality parts, you're not giving up much to having nothing in the signal path. Some of those parts have very little in the way of degrading the signal, and they're really clean sounding. So it's pretty minor. The problem with a lot of the commercially available electronic crossovers is the power supply in those are noisy, the parts quality are really poor, and it's just like some of the passive crossovers that you see in these sub $1,000 range speakers. They're cheaply built and they do not sound great. So if you're looking for the end all be all, don't bottleneck yourself in any of those areas, either with digital or electronic filters. The higher quality passive parts give you the flexibility to change different amps, different everything, power cables, speaker cables. You can swap that stuff in and out, and you can still explore other differences. Where you get into an all active system, it's not as easy. And you wind up also with more cables and more chance for picking up more noise and things like that. So it's difficult.
There you go. There's your answer. Let's see here. Scott is just letting us know between the GoFundMe and Super Chats, we're now $5 away from hitting goal for the GoFundMe, which is awesome.
You guys are getting after it.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Jeff is asking, and I think this would be for either of us. He's asking, from our experience, is the Dayton Audio DATS 3, does it do the same functions as Clio Pocket, is I think what you're asking. I'm not super familiar with DATS 3. I'm not positive. I know they have a couple of different measurement tools out there. I'm drawing a blank of Toids123. He has a YouTube channel. I know that he uses a lot of their stuff. You could reach out to him and chat with him. He's great. He does a fantastic job over there. But I'm just not super familiar with. I will tell you that Clio Pocket is pretty dang powerful. It has the ability to obviously shoot gated measurements, in-room measurements. You can do impedance sweeps, spectral decays,
anything you need.
Anything
and the basics
you need.
They're there.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a good one.
Yep. So hopefully that's helpful. All right. Let's take a look here. Is it possible to put the crossover between the preamp and have 1 amp per driver?
You can, but not a passive crossover per se. Not like that.
Yeah.
A lot of times what we do is we'll use a passive high pass filter, which will be a single capacitor that we'll put in line with the amplifier to roll the bottom end off, so that we'll target a 3 dB down a 40 or 3 dB down a 50 or something, instead of letting it play full range, because we don't want to beat up on a mini monitor or something like that. So you can get away with some passive filters, but as far as doing a crossover that way, no.
And it looks like I missed one here. I'm sorry, Jay. It's kind of hard to, whenever I have to go back up, it's hard to catch them all. But you were asking, what do you think of getting a first approximation for a crossover using XSIM?
XSIM? Sometimes it can get you in the ballpark, but most of the time it's a shot in the dark.
Okay.
I mean, it's a calculated measurement. That
is it electrical parameters?
Yeah, it's basing it on electrical parameters. So
okay.
Yeah, that's a different way to go about it. That it doesn't allow you to take into account the driver offset, the time arrival, the baffle, reflections, diffraction issues. There's a whole bunch of things it really doesn't take into account. The only way to really do it is to put a microphone out in front of it and start taking measurements.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. We got a super chat for $10. Thank you so much. And it says, I want to see my favorite YouTube audio peeps create the best complete setup you guys can put together for under $750. Wow. Is this a possibility? I'm sure Randy would do it as a friendly competition. Randy just did like a complete system for $350. So $750 would be like, oh
man, I got all this money to play with.
I got money left over. I'm going to buy a Corvette, you know?
Man.
That's boy.
That's tough though. I mean, that only gives you a few sheets of lumber today.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no kidding. In the do-it-yourself world, well, minis.
The minis are a home
$199.
run, really, at $199. I can't believe how good those really
So
sound.
you do that, and then you go and get yourself just a little chip amp or something like that. And
Yeah, find yourself a chip amp. Now, I hosted one time a little digital amp shootout, and surprisingly, there was I entered a little Dayton Audio T amp.
Yeah,
that was $29. I
Yeah.
think. And I had gone in and replaced some of the caps with some Sonic caps, and I put some actual binding posts on the back instead of those little push-on connectors.
Yeah, cheesy. Yeah,
and it did really well in the amp shootout. Everybody was listening blind. No one knew what it was.
Yeah,
and we weren't listening at extreme loud levels or anything, and so no one really knew it was just a 10-watt amp. And those little amps are not bad. They have a little volume control right there on it. So
wow. There you go.
Get there's some pretty cheap DACs out there. Go with a little cheap DAC, plug it in your computer into one of those.
Yeah.
We do that at the shop. We have one of the shit audio products.
Oh yeah, you guys have.
We have a Fulla. We have a little Fulla DAC,
Yeah.
and we have that hooked up to one of those.
It's like a DAC with a volume, isn't it? Or is
Yeah.
it just a DAC? I can't
think,
remember.
It has a volume control on it, and then we're running into one of those little T amps.
Done.
And
You got a little system right there.
you got a little system right there. Yeah.
Throw some
Pretty
minis up, and you're a happy camper.
Yep.
Well, and also you keep in mind the fact that if you're using those as intended, like in desktop, I mean, that would be,
you don't need a lot of power if you're sitting right in front of it. So there's some ways you could get pretty nice sound.
That would work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another super chat coming in from Scott for $50. Thank you so much. We do appreciate that. That's going straight to Chris from the Vinyl Attack. Let's take a look here. Jeremy is asking, have you guys listened to tapped horn subwoofers in a 2-channel setup? And if so, what are your thoughts on how they contrast with other alignments? My question is, what is a tapped horn?
Tapped horn?
Tapped horn?
The only horn subwoofers I've listened to
What
are
is a tapped horn subwoofer?
What is a company with a big horn, big brightly colored horns? I can't even think of the name of it. One of the guys will pop in and tell us here in just a minute, I'm sure. They have some subwoofers that are in big aluminum chassis.
Wow.
That are kind of a horn loaded.
Yeah.
And they actually sounded pretty good.
Wow.
They were super expensive, though. They better sound really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting. What amplifier suggestions for the NX Studio monitors? Budget would be something under $2,000.
For the NX Studio, man, you got a lot of options under $2,000.
Yeah, I get these kinds of questions all the time, and I'm like, man, do you have an hour? Because there's a lot.
Yeah, and there's a lot. I mean, there's no wrong answer.
Do you want to do solid state? Do you want to do tubes? Like, do you want to do? Are you talking used or brand new? Are you,
The sky's the limit.
Sky is the limit, man.
And the speaker's easy to drive, so you can use anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll chime in, and I would say for the NX Studio monitors around $2,000, I would be looking into shit audio. I would get like a Freya Plus. True. You got tubes to work with in the preamp. You guys know that's where I love to see a tube is in the preamp, and then throw in, the Ager. You're done. I mean, the Ager is $799, I think, and you have Class A, continuity Class A at that point. Plenty of power. There's no doubt. Plenty of juice to run those NX Studio monitors, and I promise you that would kill it. It would be awesome. No doubt about that.
Yep.
All right, let's take a look here. Audiophile Junkie is saying, listen to you guys on my new NX Streams. Wow, look at that.
Way to go, Audiophile Junkie.
Yeah. Was just uploading a new build update video and saw you are live.
How about that?
NX Streams, one of the best speakers I know of. Edward Guttle, thank you so much for the super chat, $25. So guys, we are just chipping away, helping out our buddy Chris from the Vinyl Attack. If you're just now joining us, basement was flooded, lots of water, lots of damage. He's a content creator, and we want to get this guy back online. So that's what we're doing this for. All of the money is going straight to him. All right. Let's take a look here. Have you guys tried the $75 AEMA 07 amp? Holy cow, it's literally my favorite Class D. It's funny that you bring this up because Randy won't shut up about that amplifier. So I'm curious about it. I was actually just FaceTiming with him earlier and he was talking about it like, dude, you need to get your hands on this thing because it's so good. So yeah, there you go. Like
a lot of those little lamps are really good. You know, I built a set out of those little. You can buy those little chips, the 7297 TDA chip, something like that. You could get those on eBay for like $3.97. I gutted all the parts off of it and hardwired straight to the board some high quality wire right to a Cardus input and right to tube connectors, and only left one cap on that was the buffer for the turn on, and it's 12 volts. So I was running on batteries anyway. So I made 2 of those little mono blocks. And I think I spent $80 in parts.
And there you go.
Those things were really clean.
You use those things for a long time.
I use them as, I liked it because when I was burning stuff in, and you're running something 24/7 all the time. And those amps didn't draw any juice at all. You could just leave them on, where the tube amps would heat the room up if you left them on all the time. So those amps a lot of duty.
Yeah. So I haven't heard the AMA, but I'm curious enough. Enough people are talking about it that I'm curious about it. So I'll check it out. I'll have to pick one up and then I'll bring it over to Dandy's and we'll try it with those minis and we'll see what kind of a rig you can put together with just a cheap little lamp.
That's true.
That'd be fun.
Yep.
All right. Let's take a look here. Oh, this is a great question. For open baffle subs, is having one woofer forward and one facing rear better than both facing forward?
Good question.
It's a good question.
Yeah,
this comes up a lot.
Technically, if you really want to get technical about it, when you face one way and one the other way, it evens out the output on both sides. Because technically the back of the basket, the motor structure and everything is taking up a little airspace on that one side a little bit. So if you do it on the other side, it kind of evens it out. It also evens out the weight of it, so it's not so tippy with all the weight on one side.
Yeah.
And some say it will cancel out some odd order distortions or something, but when you go servo sub, it doesn't matter. We've tried it both ways. The difference of what's going on in the room is like 10 times bigger than whether the output is exactly the same on the front versus the back.
Yeah.
Because you're changing the velocity a little bit on the back side when air's having to go around the magnet and all that stuff. But yeah, in real world application,
you're not going to notice anything.
No, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I think it looks cool when they're flipped.
When they're flipped?
It looks cool. You see the back of one driver?
I've done it both ways. I don't know, but you look at it and you see the front of all of them too.
That's true.
Some people just want to see the front of the driver. So
that's true.
You can do them either way. There's no wrong.
That's true.
No wrong way to do it.
All right, we got a question coming in from John, and this looks like it's a tweak type question. Do the washer appliance feet really help isolate or rid vibrations? So I think I know what your
feet.
Yeah. So you ever seen like when your washer and your dryer start rocking on you? They sell these like feet.
Yeah.
Right. They're like almost like a hard rubber material.
Right.
And so I think what he's asking is if you use that for audio, is that going to eliminate?
It depends on the application, and I know people throw that around a lot in those, whether or not something is decoupled.
Yeah.
Because they put something under it.
Yeah.
You're not really decoupling something by putting a damper under it. And that's basically what you're doing. It's still coupled to whatever it's sitting on. It's still sitting on it, but you're adding something that has a different resonance frequency than everything else. So when you put dissimilar type materials together, then a resonance or a vibration that would come through gets damped out within those and it doesn't transmit back up to it. So a rule of thumb for speakers, if you have a lossy floor, like if you have a big hardwood floor, then a lot of times those dampers can really improve things.
Yeah.
If you have a concrete floor under your carpet, it's better to use spikes and just couple that sucker right to that floor, because that concrete doesn't want to move. And that's what you want from your speakers. You don't want them to move. So it depends on the application as to whether or not you want that. And for gear too, different types of material. It sounds different depending on what type of material you put underneath it. Yep, it really does.
Scott replied to that question and said, "They sure do on my washing machine."
Yeah. They really quieten that washing machine down.
Oh, that was funny.
Yeah, if you can get your wife to sit on that washer,
There you go.
you know, that might put a little weight on there and just quieten that thing down.
Oh my goodness.
Soften up that spin cycle. Yeah.
All right, so we've got Gordy asking, what do you guys think of ScanSpeak dome tweeters?
ScanSpeak dome tweeters.
ScanSpeak.
I've used a lot of ScanSpeak dome tweeters.
They make some good stuff.
They make good tweeters.
Yeah.
I used to love the old Revelator.
Oh yeah.
And the models down from it. They had some little copper shorting rings in there that really shorted the inductance.
Mm.
And yeah, those were nice tweeters.
Yeah.
They were really, some of them have gotten really expensive, and they have priced some of them way out there because they can, not because they're necessarily better than the other models. But so yeah, some are a little overpriced, but yeah, good quality drivers.
Yep. We got a super chat coming in from Reynaldo, if I'm saying it right. Just thanks to the both for all the hard work. Thank you. And thank you to Chris from the Vinyl Attack. His content's awesome, and that's what this is for. We're trying to help him out.
Yep.
Another super chat from Eric. Thank you so much. We do appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Yep. Scott asks Danny, have you heard mini headphones? Which are your favorite?
You know, I haven't heard a lot. One year at Rocky Mountain Audio Fest, I did spend a lot of time over in the Can Jam area just to kind of get a feel for what all that was about. I did have a favorite. It was the Hi-Fi Man.
Hi-Fi Man, yeah.
Hi-Fi Man, and it was a $4,500 pair of headphones.
I've got the Hi-Fi Man Sesvaras in the other room. They're $6,000. You should hear those before you leave.
Wow. I'm going to hear those before I leave.
They're pretty crazy. They're pretty crazy.
Yeah, some of them are pretty nice, but I don't have time to sit and listen to music on a set of headphones. I really don't.
Yeah,
I'm so busy, and anytime
You're
I
in
want
front of a computer,
I'm working. I'm doing this stuff constantly, trying to stay up with all you guys. When I do want to sit down and listen to music, I sit down in my listening room and I want to hear a 3-dimensional sound field. It's imaging soundstage and a punch in the gut bass, and headphones don't quite do that. But there was a time back in my college days that I would have killed for some really good ones.
Really good headphones.
Yeah, I had some old headphones, and there's a place for those things.
Yeah. Well, no room to worry about.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
No room to worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the pair that you brought over for me to wear for
the 99 Classics. They're awesome.
Those were really nice.
Yeah. They're my favorite affordable headphone. I mean, $300, pretty affordable.
Yeah. It's all relative, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Super sticker coming in. Thank you so much. We do appreciate that. That's very kind of you. All right. Eric is asking, Danny, can you elaborate on the sound quality differences between coil types? When would you select a foil type over a wire type? Do you ever use higher gauges like 12 or 10 AWG or higher?
Good question. There's more difference within all the different wire wound inductors than one might think. If you look at the quality of the copper that's being used, like from Ursi or Solon, that's high purity copper, and they do sound really good. Versus a lot of the stuff that's imported. Some of it's imported from China. Some of that copper is recycled. It's not as high purity, and it does not sound as good. And there's more difference there sometimes than stepping up to foil. Foil can bring things up to another level, but only if you've got a system set up to where you can really hear it. It is very, clearly a better, cleaner sound, especially right through the mid-range, but it's very subtle. It's not it's a very subtle difference. So when would I use them? In any of the all-out efforts, if I'm doing an Extreme and Exoticas, even some of the studio monitors, I might then start leaning towards, if it depends on how far I'm trying to take it. Is it worth another $120 to take it just that much further? And in some cases, yes. In a case like some of our X series models, no, it's not worth spending. Like an ecstatic, that might be $150 more. Yeah. For the application, no, it may not be worth it.
Good question. That's a great question. All right, we got some more. We got a row of super chats and
Wow.
super stickers. So thank you so much.
Generous people out there.
Generous people out there. So thank you so much. We got $3. We got $50 from Stop the FOMO. If you're not subscribed to Stop the FOMO, make sure you subscribe. That is another content creator out there that's doing a great job. We got
All that's
Gordy.
appreciated. Hey, even if you're just going to give $3, if everybody gave $3,
we would.
Wow, you'd raise a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, there's 176 people in here right now. So
sure,
dude, yeah,
it's
honestly,
worth it to help a guy who's giving you that much, because the information that you're getting from his channel, it's worth throwing in a little to help him. You know,
for sure. Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. All right, let's take a look here. Stop the FOMO asks, Danny, how close to the front wall can we place the NX Studio? Also, with a sub, where should we high pass?
Good question. I mean, it was designed to be placed, you know, pretty close to the wall. And I say pretty close, I mean just right up there against the wall. That's what they're made for. They're like any speaker, though. If you really want to explore soundstage and imaging, you can stick them 8 feet out into the room. And wow, they're that deep.
It'll transform.
But but you can put them against the wall. And the sub crossover point, it really depends on the application in the room. You got them right up against the wall or something. You may have some gain down there really low, and you may have to set your crossover point on your sub at 35 or 40 hertz or 45 hertz in order for it to blend smoothly. In a big room that may swallow them up a little bit, you may want to push that on up to 50 or 60 hertz, you know. And remember too, and this is with all those plate amps out there, those numbers that are on the dial are numerical reference values there that indicate something in regards to where that slope starts, or where the target 3 dB down is. But remember, where you set that is going to be blending to where your main speaker is 6 dB down. So think of your speaker, maybe it's 3 dB down at 50. Well, where is it 6 dB down? Well, it's 6 dB down at 42. Okay, so there's where it's going to cross to your sub. So you don't want to set your subwoofer crossover at 50. You may want to set it back at 35, so that they're both 6 dB down at 42, and they've created a smooth response. So
there you go.
You can't really even go by the dial on the subwoofer amps most of the time. You have to know where that roll off is, and you also have to know what kind of room gain did I just get, because there's always room gains. I mean, we go to a show, that little hotel room that we're crammed into is 13 by 19. There's bass nodes in there. There's going to be a hump somewhere, and it's usually like 50 or 60 hertz, and you have to be able to adjust for that stuff. Yeah. So, yeah, it all depends on the application.
Yep. That's great. Great question. We got another super chat for $38.99 coming in saying, great to see this online community using their passion and resources to help out a mate. That is what it's all about.
What it's all about.
Raymond asks, Danny, boy, you are popular tonight.
I'm here.
I feel like you're admin.
I think you're just reading off the comments.
I'm just skipping all of mine. I'm not even bothered.
He's cherry picking them. He's just making me answer all the questions. That's because he can read it and I can't read it.
Exactly.
I'd have to put these on and then.
What
is he reading right there? Tiny little print.
Oh my goodness. Danny, what is your favorite chip amp?
My favorite chip amp? Well, right now.
7297, right?
What is that?
No,
what is
the
that?
big boy.
Yeah.
Folsom.
Yeah.
Let's give Jeremy a shout out. Folsom Audio. Jeremy from Folsom Audio. He's got 2 different chip amps that he offers. He has a 7297 chip amp configuration. He has its bigger brother.
Yeah. I don't know if very many people have built that bigger model. He sent me enough to build some monoblocks out. And I sent them to Charlie Koch, who's a buddy of mine, who went through the power supply and really beefed those things up. And they're spectacular. I mean, they're really good. I've already told them, look, let's build a bunch of these. Let's put them in some nice chassis and get some out there for my customers. Because I have a lot of customers like Jason, who just posted about his NXtremes, who would probably love to have some of those amps, because they're in that cost no object conversation real easily. Yeah. And
they're incredible.
They're just 60 watts into 8 ohms and 120 watts into 4 ohms, but they sound like 200 or 300 watt amps. They're really powerful.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, some of them are really good. That whatever the model chip number that is, that's my favorite right now. And we are looking into the the logistics of putting some of those together and getting them out there.
Stay tuned for that.
Yeah, stay tuned. I'm not going to do it to like try to move a whole bunch of them, make a whole lot of money or anything, but there are customers of ours who ask us for that kind of stuff. And so I want to be able to provide something for those guys.
Cool. Awesome, man. Let's take a look here. We have,
Oop, whole thing just moved on you again.
Yep.
You guys are scrolling that stuff in faster than
I know.
than Ron can read it. I don't know how far behind we are from being caught up.
All right, here we go. I think I got you. All right, so Ken is asking, what other ways besides having a low crossover point between tweeter and woofer and physically have the driver's voice coils aligned can you get drivers in time alignment via crossover network design?
Well, that's a pretty good question, but it's also easily to confuse time alignment with physical alignment. They're somewhat independent of each other. It's nice when you can have them physically aligned and use a crossover that keeps them acoustically in phase, so that impulse response and that step response is nice and perfect. But it's more important that they're actually acoustically in phase.
Yeah.
And even though, let's say, a mini monitor has a tweeter that is 1.25 inches further forward than the voice coil of the woofer, we can use the crossover to bring those back into alignment a little bit, and we can correct it that way. So then you're looking at the acoustic output. Is everything in phase? And there's ways to manipulate that with a crossover.
There you go.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Danny, do you ever use any of the higher end resistors like the Path Audio resistors, Dueland Cast Graphite Silver, Mundorf Ultra Foil? So those are like the big.
Yeah, those are really nice resistors. They're really clean sounding. The tough part is getting them and having them in stock. Like, go ahead and try and get those Dueland resistors right now. I'm not sure if Dueland's produced much product in the last year. A lot of it, I think, is due to some issues with COVID.
Yeah.
And they haven't really had means to produce that stuff. So a lot of it is in short supply. It's out there. Those are really nice. And if you needed a pair of them, you could probably find them. But when we stock resistors, we stock thousands and thousands of resistors, and I'll order huge chunks of them at a time. And those are not available at those kind of quantities. So,
wow.
Yeah.
All right. Super chat coming in from Chris. Thank you so much. And he says, you just listed my desktop system full of shit 3, SMSL SA50, and GR desktop minis. The minis are replacing a pair of Yamo S801s.
Heck of a deal.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yep.
All right, let's take a look here. Jeremy Wilson says, Danley Sound Labs pioneered the tapped horn sub. They timed the back wave from the driver to arrive at the throat in phase with the front wave, increasing sensitivity and SPL with lower amplifier power.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep. You can do that if you time it just right. You can increase that output with it.
That's cool. Very cool.
Yep.
Let's take a look here. Hi, guys. Did Danny listen to the ATC SCM19s after the upgrade?
No, I didn't get a chance to build out the pair and listen to the pair after the upgrade.
Yeah, you get that question a lot.
I do. It's like, did you hear it before and after? No, I spend a lot of time doing before and afters of all the different parts. So I know what the parts are going to sound like when I replace a Benick polycap for a Sonicap. I know what's going to happen. And it's not changing the tonality of the speaker. It's just changing the clarity. So it's kind of a given. But yeah, those were nice speakers, though. They were really nice speakers.
Yeah. Mikey wants to know, Danny, what is the difference between the Minis and the Bravos?
Yeah, the Mini is something that I was able to get into a bunch of those drivers at low cost. It was some drivers that I worked with AB123 years ago, and I have a bunch of them, and I'm just going to blow those out in that basically a loss leader product. You know, I'm using it as a tool to bring new people to DIY, and it's a great way to advertise because you guys go nuts over that stuff because you're getting something for nothing. And it's a great speaker, but then the little Bravo is a little higher up the performance scale. That's one of the best dome tweeters out there. It's one of I feel like one of the most neutral, cleanest sounding little woofers out there. When you're looking at inexpensive woofers, there's nothing you can touch for the money. And it's a combination that measures fantastic. The drivers are great, and you have options there to order base level parts, which are really good, or take things up quite a few notches. And that's then a speaker you can compare to anything you can come up with out there. Any mini monitor you want to come up with, any brand, any price point, they'll hold their own with the best of them. So a
Yeah.
little different target than the mini, but the mini, man, I couldn't believe how good that thing sounded.
Yeah.
Man, that was crazy. We've
Yeah.
been
And it's
listening
an
to 'em.
easy build. I mean, 6 parts on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
6
real
parts
easy.
total, right? 3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
real
Yeah,
easy.
Real
build.
easy to build.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just
man.
shot a bunch of videos last weekend on it.
Yeah. Cool. All right, let's take a look here.
We got to get the next video up on that one.
I know.
We got to do the wiring of the crossover. That
Yeah.
one's next.
Yep.
Yep.
What are your thoughts about electrically conductive grease for crossover connection points? Crossover connection points such as silver conductive grease, excellent conductivity and corrosion resistance.
I've played with some of that stuff back in the day. There's been several companies that made some of that. You could put it on your speaker cable ends and your RCAs. And I remember using some of it. And after a while, it got kind of dried out and was kind of a gooey mess. And the difference is really subtle.
Yeah.
It's like,
juice ain't worth the squeeze.
I don't know. It's like,
Yeah.
Seemed like it made a little bit of difference, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Jury's out on that stuff. In some applications, it may really improve the contact.
Yeah.
With some other type of connectors, it may not have been that big a deal.
Cool. No question here. Just wanted to thank Danny for his time and experience in all things loudspeaker and audiophile related. So generous and such a great guy. Thanks, Danny.
You're welcome.
Thanks, man. We have a celebrity in the house. Cheap Audio Man just jumped in here and he threw in $25.
Wow, he's a nice guy.
Randy, great to see you, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks,
really
Randy. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, absolutely. Got a couple of other super chats in here. We got Chuck Isidro, and it's a currency that I'm not familiar with, but it's $2.49, which is awesome. In any event, thank you so much for the super chat. And then we have JD Harvey, $5. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. If you're just now joining us, guys, all of the super chats, all the proceeds, everything that we are earning from this live stream is going to help out our friend Chris from the Vinyl Attack. He's a YouTuber. He's a content creator, and he's doing a great job. His basement was flooded. He has to replace a lot of stuff, and no home insurance didn't cover it or anything like that. So we all want to dive in and just help the guy out. So that's
back up and going.
Get him back up and going. So that's what we're doing. Let's take a look here.
He's going to have a huge YouTube channel in a year or two.
He is.
The number of people following him. And
oh yeah, for sure.
He's going to be a big channel.
He's going to skyrocket. There's no question. Yeah. Let's just take a look here. Danny, I love the work you do. Where did your idea for open baffle speakers start?
Wow. I guess there's been open baffle stuff out there.
One time while backpacking I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
So it's hard to say. Where did I the first probably pair I ever heard were the Beethovens, I think, that were done by Siegfried Linkwitz way back. What was it? Audio Alchemy? No, Audio. I can't even remember. It's 20 years ago at CES, and they were okay, different. But then I got the idea to try some open baffle stuff, and I built what was then became an OB5 and OB7s, where I just took the M165s. No, I'm sorry. I took the M130s, the little 16 ohmers in an MTM configuration, and I mounted them in an open baffle and had a couple of woofers below it there. And I mocked up some crossovers on it. I had a nice smooth response. And I remember running the speaker cable from the other end of the room over to it and just leaving it there where the measurements were taken and playing it. And I played some vocals through it, and wow, almost teared up. I just couldn't believe how much more open it was and clean. Just
you were
wow.
It was that was the blood in the water.
That
right
was
there.
it, man.
Yeah,
that was the moment. It was like, oh, I have to put some effort into this. I got to pursue this. How far can this go? Because it was really good. So that's where
Very
it started. And it was years ago when I did the OB5s and OB7s.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hello from the Philippines. Hope Chris and his channel is doing better. They are, yeah, with the help of
all you guys. Yeah.
you guys tonight. I'm sure Chris is just smiling ear to ear, and we're just getting some of that pressure off of his back. I'm sure he's feeling pretty overwhelmed. So yeah, totally cool. Let's take a look here. Any thoughts on offering the Super Minis for consumers as a kit? Super Minis.
He's talking about what I did with Neo 3 and the Neo 10. That was those sounded really
Super
good.
Mini.
Yeah, those sounded really good.
Yeah.
The issue with them though is they need something to cover from a couple hundred hertz and down.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have a great solution at that point. I had some 8-inch servo subs that I didn't have stock of anymore. Made them in a little wedge shaped, which matched, and it really sounded good. But Neo 10s became unobtainable when BG sold out to Christie Digital, and then that whole fiasco there, it's a mess. And so I'm not going to try and redesign that model until I actually have my own drivers or I have a supply of drivers that I can control. I'm not going to do any more designs with other companies' drivers when they can pull the plug on it at any time, and you've invested a huge amount of time and money into designs, and then you're stuck with no way of producing it. So
Yeah.
It was a great little speaker though, if you had the right bottom end with it and everything else. But
there you go. Cool.
Yeah.
Good evening, gentlemen. I recently ordered GR 10 gauge power cable, hopefully shipping soon. Is there a break-in period? If so, how long should it be?
Yeah, I know that's a little controversial subject, but yeah, you need a couple 100 hours on those things, and they will change quite a bit over that time. So just burn them in, let them go, and then give them a listen.
There you go.
Yep.
Brent jumped in and says, I have one of the GRR power cords and I didn't notice any break-in difference on it. So that's another person just sharing their experience.
Sure.
So there you go.
May not notice a whole lot.
Yeah.
Some systems you may notice a lot, and some systems maybe you don't notice so much.
Yeah, cool.
Depends on the system.
Cool. Ken Thomason with the super chat. Thank you so much, Ken. We do appreciate that. That is really kind of you. Thank you. Yeah. Let's take a look here. I've been watching both your videos. I'm on a video binge. Awesome. Oh, that's great.
Well, it's funny to hear that a lot. People will call in or they'll email me. I've been watching your videos straight for the last 2 days. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Let's see here. Question coming in. What happened to Dodd Audio?
Good question. Gary Dodd was a good, close personal friend of mine. And he used to do all the shows with me. And Gary had been born with some heart conditions, and he had, I think, 8 heart surgeries in his lifetime. And the last one he had was replacing titanium valves that had been in there for twice the amount of time that they were supposed to be in there. And he finally recovered from that and kind of got back to his old self again. But he passed away in his sleep one night, and I found him a day later or so. And that was tough. He was a buddy. He was one of the greats in the industry. He created some of the best tube amps and tube preamps that I've ever heard, and I miss him still. And if you guys watch whenever I'm doing crossover builds, that desk that I'm working on over there, that old metal
patina, and
that was his desk. Yeah. He's built tons of some of the best sound amps and preamps in the world on that desk. And so I have it and I use it and I'll never get rid of it. And yeah, he was one of the best, and we miss him. The industry misses him. He was a pioneer of the industry in that area.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. All right, let's take a look here. What's the best way to acoustically align drivers through a crossover network? That's a big question.
Yeah, it kind of depends on which way you have to shift it.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, it's all about looking at the measurements and seeing what it's doing, and then knowing what to do to shift it one way or the other. So that's kind of the trick. But
okay, let me take a look here.
There's a lot of stuff scrolling in there.
I know.
I see a
lot
lot
of
of
this,
the colored ones there.
it gets, I know.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for those super chats. It's awesome. A lot of
Wow.
this is back and forth between you guys answering each other's questions. So thank you for doing that as well.
Yeah, if you
So
guys have a question for Ron,
just
just put in there real big capital letters, Ron,
yeah.
and ask your question, or Danny, and then he can spot them a little quicker and not scroll through all of you guys chatting back and forth, which is cool.
Well, here's something for Ron. It says, kudos to you, Ron. With everything going on in your life in the last few months, you still take the time to do this.
Yep.
It's my pleasure. No, in all seriousness, Chris's channel is inspiring. And, you know, that's the type of like material content that genuinely inspires me. I see what he's doing.
Me too.
The way he is communicating the topic, how he says things, his pacing, and then also, you know, and this is like a big thing is, you know, there's a lot of YouTubers out there, and this is not a knock at them at all. They don't have like a dedicated space, and there's a lot of different reasons for that. But having two different studios, this studio and then the one that I had before, I do know the time that it takes to set that up and to get it perfect. And you guys can't see this, but we got like lights in here and everything is set up perfectly. And when I watched Chris's videos, in an instant, I knew this is a room that this guy spent a lot of time thinking it through, putting it together. And I can only imagine his heart dropping as he went down there and everything is underwater. So yeah, it's my pleasure to do this because I know that guy is putting his heart into his channel, and it brings me nothing but joy to help him out and get him back up on his feet. So
just so good in front of the camera.
He is.
You guys would be surprised if you really took a camera and put it in front of a lot of the reviewers in this industry. They wouldn't be reviewers anymore, some of them.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, but Chris is Chris is just like he's a natural.
No, yeah, he's great.
He's good. So
he's great.
Yep.
Let's take a look here. Any future upgrades planned for the NX line?
NX line.
Ooh, do tell. Do tell.
Can I tell that yet? Yeah, I'm working on some new models in the NX line. Let's just kind of leave it there. I'm working on some new models, and I'm working on an 8-inch version of the NQ driver. So same polymer frames, just a bigger 8-inch version of that. Same motor structure and everything. So yeah,
that's interesting.
That's coming. That's coming.
An open baffle 8-inch.
8-inch, and then maybe open baffle 8-inch servo controlled woofers right below with a little deeper wave guide.
How about that?
With a planar magnetic. Yeah, we're
gonna have to break out the sweet tea in a minute.
There's stuff in the works, but it's
all right.
It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to take a little time. I got to get samples here, test those, make sure that they do what I've asked them to do, make changes, have them send more samples. It's a process.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Developing new drivers is a process. Yeah.
Danny, would there be a benefit to open baffle subwoofers with more than 3 drivers? So for instance, like the 6 woofer stack modules on the Infinity IRS V speakers.
Oh yeah. And I don't have it on our web page because the HX 800 amps went unobtainable there for a little bit, but I need to throw it back up there to where we offer the kit that was the kit number 6, which is 6 servo subs per side with the HX 800 amplifier on it, which that's a 2-channel amplifier controlled by 1 servo control system. So each channel can drive 3 woofers. So, and I have customers out there with that configuration.
That's got to be nuts.
All in a big H frame. Yeah, and the guys over at GT Audio Works, Greg, I think it is over there. He offers some of his speakers with a combination of those two. The big 6. And there's pictures of his models at a show or two with our servo subs, 6 per side.
Wow.
Yep.
Awesome. Oh.
Yep.
All right, let's take a look here. We got a couple more super chats, super stickers coming in. So thank you so much. We appreciate it. Great things you guys are doing here. Really enjoying the B16, Danny. Great work. B16.
Yep, that's the little power cable.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Those are amazing.
Let's just take a look here. Looking forward to getting my Wharfdale 9.1 upgrades, Danny. Respect to you both. That's awesome. And thank you
Thanks.
for the super chat. Really nice.
That was a really cool little speaker.
Wharfdale 9.1.
Yeah, I really like that little speaker.
Was that the one that you put up against the Revell?
Yeah, I compared it to the Revell. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good comparison, I think.
Yeah.
But big difference in price, though.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
And that little Sony you did, you were impressed with the
Sony was really impressive.
SC5, I think, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or SSC5.
Yeah. With the upgrades, that's really impressive.
Yeah.
I've had quite a few guys do those upgrades, and they're floored by those, how good those really sound. It's a difficult one to upgrade in that there's not a lot of space in that speaker.
Oh, yeah.
You have to get creative with how you're mounting it inside there, mounting the real parts. But yeah, that was a good one too. I find some gems every now and then. I gotta give praise where it's due. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's take a look here. Chuck is asking you, Danny, I'm interested in your do-it-yourself speakers. Do you ship to the Philippines?
You get that question all the time. Do you ship to the UK? Do you ship to Australia? We ship to anywhere that UPS runs or the Postal Service goes.
Anywhere
that we ship to anywhere. And if you want to know how much does it cost to ship to the Philippines, one, you have to tell me what you want me to ship you, and you have to give me an address, because it depends on where you are in the Philippines as to what it costs. It isn't the same for every location, especially if you're in Australia. You guys over there on the East Coast, your shipping is a lot different than the guys all the way over there in the boonies out there somewhere. So you have to tell me your address if you want a shipping quote.
There you go. Here's a great question coming in. Could each of you guys talk a bit about a kit that you built that sparked your interest in do-it-yourself? Also, could you mention a vinyl tweak that you have felt made a real difference in the playback of your system?
One of those sounds like to me and one's to you, I think.
Sure. You want to take the vinyl one then? Is that what you're saying?
No.
No.
Although, I started out as a vinyl guy. I mean, my first audio systems were all vinyl. I never played cassettes, never bought a cassette. I recognized immediately, this just do not sound as good as vinyl.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was always that vinyl guy. But no, when I was a young guy in back in the high school, college days, there was a company called Speaker Lab up in Seattle that did kits, and I had one of their little catalogs. I used to look through that thing all the time and think all the different speaker kits they had.
Yeah.
Look at the driver specs, and that was cool stuff. That was, I guess you could say, that was a little bit of a motivational thing to do kits, remembering how cool that was back in the day. But no, I didn't ever build any of them though.
Yeah.
I always just went to my local audio store at Audio Tech and bought everything new.
Very cool. Very cool. Tweaks for vinyl playback. There's a lot of them out there. And I would say that of the things that will probably make the biggest difference is if your table allows you to make adjustments, that's what you need to explore first. So I'm talking about azimuth, I'm talking about, VTF, VTA, vertical tracking angle. If you haven't explored that on your turntable, that is your first tweaks that you should be doing, because that will make a profound difference. The second thing that I would say that a lot of the more affordable tables are plagued with is you have resonances from the turntable that's bleeding through the rack into your floors, what have you. So getting creative with trying to get that table as isolated as possible is probably going to be the biggest tweak that I would encourage you to consider. It'll make probably the biggest difference when it comes to vinyl playback. So that's my thoughts.
Cool.
Ron, any experience with the Ohm Walsh line? That is from Chris, the Vinyl Attack. Yes. There's only been a small handful of speakers that I've sent back here at New Record Day. And that was one of them. And I don't mind even saying it because they were very diplomatic and very cool. Those Ohm speakers are interesting in that they really are designed to be placed back up into the corners, and they project sound from the corners of the room. And this was right around the time where I was getting away from that. And so I was exploring soundstage, and I was pulling speakers deep into the room. And when I got those in, I understood what they were doing, but I didn't really care for them at all. And I would say this, that it was one of the harder speakers to send back because it's not like it was doing anything wrong. It's how it was designed to be used. But I thought this review isn't going to do anybody any good because I don't like it. I don't like what this sounds like. I felt like a couple of things that I noticed with that. I felt like the male vocals, it sounded like a football. It was just way too bloaty and way too big. And so that was not a loudspeaker, Chris, that I loved, to be honest with you. And I tend to go in the opposite, like when we talk about design theories, I go in the opposite direction of, Klipsch, they make a lot of speakers that you slam up against the walls. They're just not for me, man. They're not. And Ohm is one of those speakers. That's how.
And I know they advertise it that it's designed for that, but you can't do that with an omnidirectional speaker.
Yeah.
I mean, the radiation from the rear is just going to reflect right off the wall.
Right off the wall.
And then it's out of phase with the front output.
Yeah.
And it's going to cancel at certain frequencies, and it's going to cancel really badly. The only way you can use an Omni speaker and get it to, you have to pull them out in the room. You have to be 3 feet from any wall to make an Omni speaker work. Otherwise, the reflection is going to be dominant of what you're hearing. Yeah. There's just no way to get around it.
Yeah, that's great. That makes perfect sense to me. What are your thoughts on the NX line compared to the classic IRS-5 towers?
Yeah, different league. Yeah, the NX stuff's in a whole different league.
There you go.
Yep. For a whole list of things, a whole list of reasons we don't have enough time for.
Okay, cool. Danny, a lot of people don't realize that the quality of component parts has a lot to do with how projects sound. Can you give a definitive reason why components matter?
Yeah, let's see. To sum it up in a way that's pretty short, it all kind of comes back to noise. As signal passes through, for instance, a capacitor, it charges and discharges. It doesn't just really let the signal pass straight through like it's a wire. So there's always some level of smearing that can be caused by that. Same with iron core inductors. So when you step up to those higher quality parts, it's really about being fast and discharging that stored energy and just being clear. So what a lot of people describe when they step up to those higher quality parts is more space between notes. Like I can hear detail. I can hear each note, not a ring of one into the other. And that's pretty much how it works.
There you go. Cool. Let's take a look here. Danny, what are your thoughts on overhung versus underhung voice coils?
I've seen great drivers in both areas, and it's hard to say that one is any better than the other. It's a different way of going about it. I really like the XBO motor stuff, which was multi-gapped, where the voice coil splits between two gaps. That'll create a more linear BL curve over a wider range. But I found the real benefit in those types of designs is when you have long throw drivers. When you got a woofer that's really moving along, long throws, then that linearity really comes into play. When you're using mid-bass drivers or something that's 200 hertz and up, a lot of that advantage is pretty much gone. So depends on the application.
There you go. All right, we're actually caught up with you guys, which is kind of cool.
Because you went through them so fast.
I know. We're cruising through them, man. Ron, congrats on your new twins. Thank you so much. Yeah, they're pretty cool.
They're pretty cool.
Maddie can be a handful. She can be a handful.
That girl's a screamer.
Oh man, she's hitting like 2K, and it's just like yikes! Holy smokes!
The kid is just he's totally chill.
Yeah,
he don't care anything going on.
Elliot's
whatever.
Just he's just like I don't
whatever. Natalie can just.
Whew.
She can start screaming.
Oh, here's a great question for you and I. And here's what I want to do. We're going to answer this question at the same time on the count of 3, because I know our answer is going to be the exact same. Hi, Ron and Danny. Could you comment on your favorite comb material for mid-range drivers and the benefits or cons between paper, metal, Kevlar? So we'll answer together, and then I'll have him explain why. 1, 2, 3. Paper. Easy. There you go. Paper code. Good old paper.
Yeah, I mean, paper has natural damping qualities to it. So It doesn't have the ringing that the harder materials do.
Yeah.
So it's just simple as that.
Yeah.
And if you look at frequency response and spectral decay on a lot of those harder cone materials, you'll see sometimes a lot of ringing. And then you have to try and filter that stuff out to get it out. And sometimes you can't filter all of it out. You're adding parts. And,
yeah. Right.
You know, the papers damp themselves out a lot more easily. They roll off smoothly, use less parts. And if you got a good tweeter going with it, you can more quickly hand off to a tweeter, and
yeah,
you're not forcing it to play up high anyway. So
yeah, I have heard some Kevlar stuff that I like over the years. Not too bad. I like Kevlar stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look here. Hey everyone, Matty Sound speakers sell drivers named Silver Flute. I have used them in a bunch and they are nice. Price so low, it could deter a lot of the people from exploring them. Yeah, actually, Mr. Speaker Man, I've used those. My brothers use those. We built a couple of boxes when I was taking per day. Not bad. I thought they lacked a little bit in the difference with you, but at their price, they're pretty dang good.
He's right. They're pretty good for the money.
Yeah, pretty good for the money. Yep. Let's take a look here. My dream team, Danny from GRS Research and Paul from PS Audio, Dennis Foley from Acoustic Field's Best Room Treatment, in my opinion. There you go. That's the dream team, huh?
What a deal.
All right. That'll be next time.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be in here pretty soon. We're about an hour and 40 minutes in. So, guys.
We're that far in already?
Yeah, hour and 40 minutes. It goes by fast, huh?
Yeah, I guess it does.
Wow. Live streams are fun, man.
Yeah.
They're cool. If you're joining us now, if you're joining in late, the purpose of the live stream is to help out Chris from the Vinyl Attack. He had a flooding in his basement. He's in Southeast Michigan. His basement was flooded. His YouTube studio was flooded. And so we're just all the money from Super Chats, anything donated. And there is a GoFundMe as well. That's all going to Chris. So that's the purpose of this. So please, help out if you can. All right, let's take a look here.
Yeah, might even have to do this again just for fun.
Oh, totally. Yeah, it's great. When are you... Okay, so it looks like, Jeff, you're showing up a little bit late. We talked about this earlier, so I'll answer it. When are you doing the blind test cable challenge mentioned? Danny answered this earlier. He's going to be doing that soon. He's just been inundated with a lot of work right now.
Yeah, to hear.
Yeah, but it's coming. Yeah. And we'll make sure that we do that right, and we do it with ethics. And so we'll make sure we get it right. And so Danny will be put to the test, and we'll see.
The most fun part about that is having skeptical guys come over.
Oh yeah,
that is so much fun.
It is.
I'll just swap out one cable and say, and not really tell them what happened. I'm changing something. You just tell me what you hear.
Yeah,
and it's pretty obvious.
Yeah,
it can be very obvious on a really high end system.
Yeah. Danny, what are your thoughts on Graham audio speakers, also Tannoy speakers?
I don't know the Graham audio stuff too much. The Tannoys I've got, I just did a System 10 upgrade on one of the Tannoys, and I've got one of the big boys in there right now that's pretty huge. I'm doing an upgrade on, and those older drivers look pretty nice. I'm anxious to see what I can do with them. I just need more hours in the day.
Randy Messman, any advice on how to pull off horn-rimmed glasses asking for a friend?
I would expect nothing less from that guy. That was the perfect question.
Oh my goodness.
Well, see, I get these readers from Dollar General.
There you go.
They're like $8 or something.
And that's how you pull that off.
You just pull it off. You just put hey, I can actually see a lot of this over there.
There you go, man. See, look at that.
Yeah. Look like a doofus in these things. I know it's bad. My hearing is still really good. I'm great with that, but at about age 45 to 47, the eyesight just went. It's like, what the heck happened? Can't see anything up close anymore.
All right. JC is asking a question about one of my favorite kits ever, by the way. Danny, with something like the AVOs, what is the reason of pointing the woofer upwards?
You have to think of it as not pointing upwards. It's just a different plane that it's on. You're just shifting the plane from forward to up. and you're using it in a range where it's omnidirectional.
Yeah.
So at 90 degrees off axis, the frequency response with the crossover and everything on it is the same as if I had a different crossover on it facing forward. It's the same frequency response.
Yeah.
It's just changing the angle of it. So it's a little more omni in the way it sounds. And it does. It sounds
big and open.
It sounds big and open,
yeah,
because of it. Because you're kind of getting away from the box sound when you do that. It's really cool. If you just gave me a woofer and a tweeter and said, "What's the best sounding thing you can do with it?" It would be using them in those configurations. But it's a hard sell. People think the sound is reflecting off the ceiling or something. That's not what's happening at all.
No.
It just looks very different, and it's a hard sell for people to think that that's going to create this big sound field, but it does. It sounds really good.
I remember you once told me something that helped visualize it. You said, think of like an exploding apple, like an apple exploding on top. And that was like, okay, now I can kind of visualize what you're saying is it is, you've got pieces that are coming at you for sure. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. All right, let's take a look here. Danny, any thoughts to provide your speaker wire as an upgrade for your do-it-yourself kit internal wire?
Oh, like taking the external speaker cable and putting it inside?
Yeah, your new braided stuff.
Well, that would be a nightmare to try and unwind, unbraid, untwist, unstrip all those different wires. That would be really tough.
Yeah. Okay.
No, it would just be too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there could be a little something there, but the runs are so short, the advantage of the braiding kind of goes away.
Yeah.
The braided wire doesn't present as much of an advantage when it's only this long.
Yeah.
When it's an 8-foot long piece, it's actually becoming quite a filter, and it's removing a lot of noise from the signal path. Whereas a little short piece of it is not gonna remove too much at all.
There you go. Hi, Ron and Danny. Has any one of you had a chance to listen to the Wharfdale Linton speakers? And if so, any thoughts? The answer for me is no. I have not heard the Lintons.
No.
Nope. Let's take a look here. Danny, when you measure a speaker, what decibel do you try to measure it at? I find most FR measurements to be taken way too loud for my tastes.
Well, I don't try to measure it at a decibel level. I try to measure it at an input level.
Yeah.
So I'll give it a 1 watt input, which is an industry standard at 1 meter. So all sensitivities are rated at 1 watt, 1 meter. So that's the level I set it to measure it, so that when I take the measurement, I know exactly what the sensitivity levels are.
There you go.
Yep.
Perfect. Let's take a look here. Danny and Ron, can you comment on your experience with lower versus higher sensitivity speakers on sound quality, if all others being equal, including decibel listening at?
Even the lower sensitivity speakers can have just as good a dynamics if you put enough power on them, and if they'll handle that level of power. Just the higher sensitivity speakers will do it with less power.
Yeah. This comes up a lot, and I think what happens, and I think this is an easy pitfall, is you might be cycling through some speakers with the same amplifier, and you go from something that is harder to drive to a more sensitive speaker, and then you start convincing yourself like, oh, this is so much better and so much better. And in the event where you're able to supply a bit more current or power to that other speaker, it might have been a different show altogether.
Very much.
Yeah. So.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's take a look here. Danny, when using a Neo 3 tweeter in a sealed box design, which do you think is better, open back, shallow back cup, or deep back cup?
Oh, I like it in an open baffle. It just has a different sound when you free it up. Any of those diaphragms, when you put it in a enclosure, you're loading the diaphragm. And the deeper that it is, the less you're loading it. And of course, the shallower cup is loading it more. So the shallower cup tends to want to hold the output and then drop it off more sharply. And sometimes it can create a knee that you have to get rid of. Whereas if you unload the diaphragm, it tends to roll off more gradual and has a smoother roll off. So it's a little different type of crossover that you have to use on each one. But to me, those diaphragms sound much better when they're unloaded. So I like them in the open baffle or deep cups.
There you go.
Yep.
Jimmy Two Shoes, throwing a super chat. Thank you so much. If I were to use 3 center speakers for my front stage theater, what would you choose?
If you could use 3 center speakers.
3 center speakers?
Well, you can use almost any speaker as a center channel so long as you can have the space to turn it vertically.
Yeah.
You could use 3 vertical, XLS Encores,
There you go.
if you wanted to.
Yeah, good point.
You could use anything.
Ron, have you played Danny in a game of frisbee golf? If so, who won? That's a ridiculous question. We all know the answer to that.
When they came up one time, I introduced them to disc golf. I handed him a whole bag of disc and let him throw them out in my
I got
front yard.
cocky. I was like, so you want me to show you how to play disc golf? And he's like, yeah, okay.
It was fun watching Ron try to throw a disc through like a girl.
Yeah, I did. It just did the yeah.
No.
Danny gets out there and it's just like, let me go around that tree, around that mountain, and then back to me. And I'm like, what? And then he does it. And I was like, okay.
I used to play all the time.
I was like, this is a dumb game. I've
It's
never
a fun
played.
game.
Oh my goodness, that's funny. All right, let's take a look here. Grill cloth material suggestions. Who makes the most transparent cloth?
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh man.
I find most of them pretty transparent.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not. The transparency of the cloth is never the problem.
Never.
It's always the frame that you put it on.
Yeah, whatever that frame
You
is.
you take a
Something is-
speaker and you put a frame around it,
That speaker does
and-
not like it.
and you got sharp edges on that thing and right angles. It's going to destroy the response.
Yeah.
It'll hurt it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. XLS macros, will they be coming back soon? And even just the flat pack would be nice.
XLS macros.
What is an XLS macro?
I don't know.
Wayne, ask that question again. Maybe there's a typo there. We're not sure what you're referring to. Hey guys, loving my souped up encores from Reese. And Reese, I know exactly what you're hearing because I have heard many encores and they're fantastic. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yep. I like souping mine up too.
Yeah.
They're most fun to listen to.
All right. Normal Man jumps in and says, hi guys, late to the party, made a donation on the GoFundMe and it's over $4,700 now.
Wow. How about that?
How about that?
That's very good.
All right. Guys, if you're just not joining us, this is all the proceeds, all the super chats. Everything is going to Chris from the Vinyl Attack.
Yep.
So thank you. Thank you. That is so awesome.
That's cool.
That makes me really happy. That's awesome. Let's take a look here. Danny, would 16 gauge OFC external wire be okay to use instead of solid core cable in a crossover network?
Yeah, you can. It's not the difference between the solid core and the multi-stranded isn't as big as you would think. The difference is in the jacketing. When you go to a PVC jacketed versus what we offer in our kits, which is a polyethylene jacketed, that's where you start really noticing the differences.
There you go. Brent says, my 25-year-old Boston Acoustics subwoofer driver blew up. Can I replace the driver? Brent, I got probably bad news for you.
Yeah, contact Boston Acoustics and find another one.
Maybe eBay. Actually, I have had good luck with situations like that where you just actually find like the same sub on eBay and it's like, why not just replace it, So you might want to try that. I'm sorry to hear that, man. Audiophile Junkie. Some of the cable runs inside the in extremes are pretty long, actually longer than my speaker cables.
Yeah, they're pretty long. Those are 7-foot tall speakers. So
yeah, you got a lot
we
of cable
send out
running through there.
we send out 100 feet of cable for that.
Wow, is that right?
100 feet.
Woo!
Yeah, that's single run. So you got to think, it's 50 feet of each color and divide that into 2. There's 25 feet of each color in each speaker. So
yeah, wow.
It adds up in a hurry.
Wow. Looks like we got we're up to you guys. We got our last super chat coming in. So guys, we're going to close up shop here in about, let's say 10 minutes or so. That'll be a 2-hour live stream.
Wow.
Steve Nichols says, tag Ron, may to match or better my super chat. Thanks for giving your time to help others. Tag Ron. I'm not sure what he means by that. May to match or better my super chat. Oh, if you're asking like if I've donated, like you're tagging me, I already did. I actually donated to his GoFundMe account. But thank you. That's awesome of you to do that. Let's just take a look here.
You guys are chatting with each other in here a bunch.
Yeah, this is cool. A lot of people are answering each other's questions, which is awesome.
Yep.
Danny, can you comment on the sound quality on the sonic caps you use your kit upgrades versus the more expensive versions of the sonic caps? So that would be like Gen 1, Gen 2, Platinum, I would assume.
Well, we use the Gen 1. That's for the sizes that we use. That's the only sonic cap that are out there right now.
Yeah.
Jeff did come out with Platinum caps, which was Teflon film and full sonic caps, but only made them up to a 1 microfarad. They were, and that 1 microfarad was pretty big, pretty heavy, and it starts getting a little pricey. So I used a lot of the Platinums as bypass caps and things like that. And a lot of his Gen 2 models were mostly just built in small value. So yeah, it's more for the application than there were differences between the two, or between the three, I guess.
Let's take a look here. Got a question coming in. I'm thinking about building a pair of Exoticas. I would like to do an automotive type finish like Wilson speakers. Are there any issues with using that type of finish? No, there's not. No. You could do it.
It's all in the prep work on those things.
Yeah. You're dealing with raw MDF, so it's just a matter of prep work, but you can definitely do it. No doubt about that.
Prime and sand and prime and sand.
Yeah.
And wet sand.
A lot of wet sanding.
Get it nice and slick. You can spray anything over it.
Yep. Let's take a look here. Danny, in all seriousness, I've built about 10 sets of Encore. Oh, this is from Cheap Audio Man. Danny, in all seriousness, I built about 10 sets of Encores at this point, and when I test them out, they continue to amaze me every time. One of the best speakers I've ever heard.
Wow. Thank you, Randy. Appreciate that. And I've been sending some customers your way who are wanting someone to help put them together. And all you guys who keep asking me, what if I can't build them myself? Well, just have me send them over to Randy, and Randy will put them together for you.
Knowing Randy, you know what he's saying right now? No, don't do that anymore.
Don't send anymore.
I don't want to build any more speakers. I don't want to do that.
There's another guy that's posted in our forum, Elac, who's offered crossover assembly services, and a lot of the guys are sending stuff over. I've been shipping stuff to him.
Oh, that's cool.
For assembly. And so there's guys out there that can help you guys out if you don't want to do it yourself.
Yeah. Let's take a look here. Question for Ron. Something for Ron. How about that?
Do I need to read it? I can't even see it.
I just started getting into Yoshi Horikawa, who is awesome, by the way. I know you mentioned him before. Would you have any recommendations of similar music you may have found? Not similar to what he does, because he mixes. So what he does and what he's a master at is he mixes some binaural recordings, atmospheric type recordings with music and like tracks, and he pieces it all together in beautiful ways. And I think that's what makes it unique. Is there's not a lot of people that's doing what he's doing that I know of. But if anybody knows, comments down below. I'd be happy to check it out. Let's take a look here. Where can I find images showing close-up of tube binding posts for NX and NX?
Close-up of tube binding posts?
Tube binding.
Oh, the tube connectors?
Maybe the tube connectors.
Yeah, right on our website. You can go to our website, go down to products at the top, drop down to accessories, and click on accessories, and tube connectors is one of those that'll pop up.
You've got some nice photos of them on there.
Yeah, there's some close-ups and some drawings that show how they're made and what they do, and all the details are all there. So click on it and see it.
There you go. Another question for Ron. Thoughts on tube preamps versus solid state for your NX? That's a great question. Both are great. Both can be amazing. I have talked about this quite a bit on my channel, that it's been my experience that if I'm going to put a tube anywhere, it is in a preamp. I usually like a tube in the preamp. And I'm lucky to have actually 2 Dodd Audio tube preamps. They're run off batteries, similar to what Danny has, a little bit different configuration.
Yeah.
And there's something magical that happens with that Russian 6H30 tube
Oh yeah.
and the Auticas or the Extremes, because it's important to understand that that's one of the things that surprised me the most with the Auticas is when you see it and you look at it, it messes with you because you're like, there's no way that vocals are going to sound rich and there's no way that it's going to sound real. And then when you hear it and it's the exact opposite of what you thought, it is rich and it's holographic and it's very lifelike. Suspending that with tubes for me that's magic. I mean, it's when you combine those two elements, something that is truly suspended in air and holographic and very realistic sounding, it doesn't get any better. So those are my thoughts on that. Yeah. Let's take a look here. How are they secured? Okay, so this person was asking about the tube connectors and how are they secured to the back of the cabinets? They're pressure fitted, right?
Mhm.
You just
Pressure fit, tap them in.
tap them in. Yeah.
Yep. Put a little silicone or a little super glue on them or something like that, and just tap them in.
Yeah. Hi, Ron and Danny. Is bigger magnet equals better when it comes to mid-range drivers? Love your open baffle videos. I don't think
No.
so. No.
No,
That's
you
all
have to
based on
have
the parameters of.
you have to have just the right amount of field strength on the voice coil to reach the parameters that you need.
Yeah.
And it needs to be correct, not bigger.
Everything works together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the magnet or the motor structure starts getting bigger, then a lot of times they have to start increasing the gap on the voice coil to reduce the field strength back down to reach the target. So
Yeah.
bigger is not always better at all.
All right. So to be fair to you guys, we're at the 2-hour mark. I'm going to close out the questions. So I'm going to get down to Reginald and then we'll call it a night. By all means, if you still want to send in a super chat or a super sticker for helping out Chris from the Vinyl Attack, that was the entire point and purpose of tonight's live stream, is to help out Chris. If you don't know what happened with Chris and the Vinyl Attack, he has a great YouTube channel. Danny and I are huge fans of his channel, and he lives in Michigan, had a downpouring of rain, and his basement was flooded out. And so it was Danny's idea to like, hey, let's rally up the troops. Let's help this guy out and show him that the community cares and we want him back online. So that is the point of this. So we're going to finish out the rest of the questions. And by all means, if you want to send in some more super chats, super stickers, GoFundMe, go for it.
Sure.
But let's close this out. We're 2 hours in. So let's take a look here. The next one we got, Danny, if you were to use a bypass cap on a woofer circuit in the crossover, would you use a 1 UF or 2 UF capacitor?
Typically, I'll go for a 0.1.
0.1.
0.1.
Little tiny.
Yeah, a little tiny. What I'm looking for is to discharge that stored energy in the bigger cap, and the smaller values tend to work really well. Also, when you start putting caps together in bundles, you know, each cap has a different discharge rate than the other. Some store and discharge at different rates. So let's say you're trying to make a 20 microfarad and you used a 15 and a 5. So you've got two caps that are discharging at different rates. So you get a little bit of a smear versus if you use 2 10s where they're both discharging at the same. So you tend to get better sound with the 2 10s. So you don't want to use dissimilar caps. But so when you go to the bypass cap needs to be so small that the phase shift that would occur is at 20 kHz or above. So you're not going to hear it because the phase shift is just too high. So I tend to look for values in that range, a 0.1 or smaller, depending on how big the cap is you're bypassing. And those tend to work the best.
There you go. Cool. I have a pair of RSL Studio Monitor 3600s. These were to compete with the JBL L100s. Have either of you seen or heard those in person? I have not.
I haven't heard.
Haven't. Danny, have you ever encountered a compression driver horn-based system that you really liked? Now, that is a dang good question.
There are quite a few that I've heard that I really liked certain qualities about them, certain areas. And of course, I did some stuff with the P audio drivers back in the day. I did some open baffle coaxial drivers. that had that compression tweeter in it. It was a big compression tweeter. And what I did was I milled the back out of the cup on it and made that compression driver open baffle, which made me like it even more. And it relaxed the sound quite a bit. And yeah, I've done some stuff with a few of them, but as far as just a horn based system, I'm not as big a fan. I'm just not.
You like those little JBLs that I just got in?
I did. Those
You're
were
like,
really good. Yeah, I
wow.
heard the JBLs that he just
Yeah.
had a video on, and those were the kind of speaker to me. It just didn't do anything wrong.
No.
You know, the
No.
the ports in the front seemed a little heavy there
A little
in the bass.
honky at times.
Little
Yeah.
honky, little heaviness there.
Yeah.
But overall, it was one of those speakers that there was no problems with. And for me, if there's something wrong with it, it sticks out and it's overbearing. I can't quit hearing the problem. And those are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Last question of the night, guys. Reginald Boyd asks, what do you think of Terra Labs cables? I've never even heard of Terra Labs cables.
Yeah, I've never had a bunch of it on hand of my own to experiment with, but I've heard them at shows and stuff. They make some good products.
There you go. There you go. All right, guys. We'll end the night with just a sincere thank you. Chris wrote in here. It says, a very sincere thank you to everyone who helped out in supporting the rebuild. I truly appreciate you, and I look forward to getting back with content soon.
Very cool. We look forward to seeing you online again, Chris.
Yeah. Chris, yeah, dude, keep your chin up, man. You know, we care deeply about your channel and about your well-being, your mental health. So check in with us. Let us know if there's anything else that we can do to help you out. And yeah, thanks, guys. We do appreciate it. All righty.